So what's the most frustrating aspect of a 360-degree feedback implementation? It's chasing participants and feedback providers to complete their questionnaires on time, isn't it? Isn't that the bit that drives you mad? Could this be part of the reason why feedback is often slow in coming in, and it's sometimes of dubious quality, and rarely do you reach 100% completion by the survey close? Well, this video is designed to address that. My name's Colin Newbold, and I'm the founder of TLC Online, and I'm the chief architect behind the Click360 brand. And we're on a mission here to improve the quality of leadership and management capability right across the globe. And we're not going to rest until the day when employees, wherever they work, get the leaders and managers they deserve. And we've helped already thousands of participants from large organizations such as Diageo, Tata, Lego, but also right down to small charities, a lot of housing associations. And this video is part of a set of video tutorials designed to help buyers of our new self-drive software implement their 360 smoothly and efficiently so that they maximize the impact of this great tool. The solution to this perennial problem of chasing raters has two parts. So first, use 360 only with those managers, current or future, who are up for it. Those individuals who want to develop in their roles and in their careers. Don't force it on those who are resistant, especially those who are doing an okay job, but just don't see the value in 360. Second, don't leave the briefing comms to some impersonal email from HR or L&D, or worse still, one that comes from the 360 system. Coach participants about what to expect and how to manage their 360 via an online webinar such as this, and persuade them to personally invite each rater through a face-to-face or telephone conversation. Remember, they're keen to engage with 360 anyway, so harness their enthusiasm with a live webinar awareness briefing. I'll show you now how this could be done. So here's an example of an awareness briefing agenda. This is one that we ran recently with the Royal Air Force, the RAF in Britain. We started with an interactive session about what their history was, what sort of experience they have with 360, what worked well, what didn't work so well, what would have made it better, etc. And if people hadn't experienced it, we spent a little bit of time talking about what it is, where it comes from, it's the general concept of 360. But more importantly, the purpose, what's it being used for? And the reason that we always give is for development. There really isn't another indication in our belief for 368. Some people use it for assessment, and they have done it successfully, but I think there's all sorts of complications when you use it for assessment. So for us, our main purpose for using 360 is to develop managers and leaders. What is being measured? That's just some words around the questionnaire. Sometimes the questionnaire has been made bespoke for that organisation. In the case of the RAF, it wasn't. It was a standard leadership questionnaire that was off our shelf. But nevertheless, it's worth just explaining where the questionnaire comes from, and how it's structured, and so on. Maybe some examples of the questions. Then there's a whole piece around confidentiality. What do we mean by confidentiality? It's really important for people to understand who sees the report. Where does the confidentiality begin and end? For example, are raters who are in a category like direct reports or peers, are they going to be anonymous? And so on. You can decide what your rules are, but you just need to make sure that they understand that. One of the dilemmas of 360-degree feedback relates to the written comments that people might write to support a rating that they've given. Most tools, ours especially, has the opportunity for people to write free text, and that's where confidentiality can be broken, or certainly it can be weakened by the fact that you want people to write pretty specific, observable, behavioural comments, things that someone is doing well or not doing so well, or saying or not saying. But the problem is, the more specific that a person is around the example, the less anonymous they become. It's just one of those contradictions really in 360. You need to manage that. We're going to come on to rater invitation conversations in just a second, but that's really one of the things that we would encourage you to talk about with raters. Timetable, very important, especially if there's several components to the 360. For example, if participants are nominating their own raters, then there should be some time left before they go online and punch those names in for the invitation conversations to take place. Then there's the period allowed for rater nominations, and then there's the survey open period, which we recommend as being about 13 working days, 13 working days, which that kind of fits virtually every scenario, other than somebody on long-term sickness leave or something like that. And then contracting around the outcomes. Very important that we talk about what happens after the reports are produced. How do they get shown to the individual participants? Is there going to be feedback coaching? What happens if there are development opportunities coming out of the 360? How are they going to be addressed, etc.? We like to demo the product just briefly on our awareness briefings. We just show some screenshots. Sometimes I'll do a live demo, depends on how the time's going. Also, I demo the report because I think reports are really interesting to people to get a sense of what the finished product looks like. Then we talk about rater selection process, and really the only rule for this is someone that knows you well enough to be able to give constructive and meaningful data in their feedback. And you can usually to agree on the groups that need to be involved. Typically there'll be a manager, there'll be a peer group, there'll be a direct report group, and probably another group which we simply often call other. These are people who don't directly work for an individual, but they work alongside, or their behaviour impacts this person. And it could be something outside the organisation as well. We do encourage the use of inviting customers and even suppliers, partner organisations, to participate in this process. And then we come on to the rater invitation conversations. I'm going to deal with that separately. Q&A at the end, just to make sure everybody's happy and all the concerns have been addressed. Okay, let's move to what do we mean by rater invitation conversations. The three biggest problems you face in getting rater engagement via 360. Number one, slow and incomplete take-up. This was our theme at the beginning of this video. Low quantity of feedback and a poor quality of feedback. Solution, talk to your raters. Now, if you're up for 360, if you're one of those people who genuinely wants to develop and grow your role and your career, then you'll be engaged with this process and you won't find this a chore or an imposition. Why? Well, by talking, by actually inviting each of your raters, you're going to get a commitment to participate. Mostly, you'll be prepared for someone to say no, but most will say yes. You'll get a commitment to think about the scoring, think about how they're going to score, and you'll get a commitment to write qualitative comments that add depth and clarity. You're going to say some words about that. You also get a commitment to complete by the deadline. That's probably the most important thing. So it's really important to have these conversations. How? Well, with managers, then you're kind of working very closely with your manager in most cases, so that'll be a natural one-to-one conversation. The peers and others, they should really be one-to-one conversations. You can do that on the phone, you don't have to be face-to-face. And when it comes to direct reports, we recommend a team meeting. You really want to involve all your direct reports, otherwise there's this whole sort of inclusive, exclusive atmosphere that you create, so you really want to invite them all. And you're best sharing the rater invitation conversation through a team meeting. What to say? Okay, this is a busy slide, so let me go through it slowly, step by step. So start by setting the scene, the context. You might want to say something like, I'm doing this 360 primarily because as the organisation is changing, I too want to grow and develop my capabilities as a leader or as a manager. And for you, someone that I trust, that I work alongside and who's seen me in a variety of work situations, I'd really appreciate your contribution to my 360. You might want to check out their experience, how much do you know about 360-degree feedback, and respond appropriately. Explain what 360 is if they've never heard of it. This is number 3. Describe the questionnaire being used with words like it's bespoke to our organisation, or it's not, or it's based on competencies or values, or it's based on leadership standard, or whatever is appropriate for your questionnaire. And say it will hopefully reinforce what I'm doing well and doubtless reveal some gaps that I'll need to address. You could talk about the actual questionnaire interface if you want to. I mean, that depends on your provider, but we often supply screenshots of the QI and also the report. So if you're face to face with somebody, you could use a picture of that. And then when it comes to written comments, encourage your raters to write specific observable behaviours. So the descriptor we use is something I'm doing or not doing, and or something I'm saying or not saying. Because comments written like that give you something to work on. So encourage people to write in that way. Now, number 5, they'll doubtless ask you the time question, how long it's going to take. And the answer is, well, answering the questions depends obviously on the software you're using, but using the sliding scales on Click 360, it's going to take around 10 to 15 minutes. And the same again for the written comments, depending on how many examples that they give. Remind them that they can save and exit and return again later where they left off. Number 6, the confidentiality question. Now this is best answered with something like the scores and the comments are presented back to me anonymously, but please don't write anything you don't feel comfortable with, something that perhaps you wouldn't mind sharing with me face to face. And remember, when it comes to examples, the more specific you are, the less anonymous you become, if that makes sense. So I leave it to you to draw the line. And by the way, if there's something I just did that was exceptionally good or exceptionally bad, be careful not to let that colour your overall judgment. Think of what I'm like most of the time. Number 7, tell them the outcomes. Once all the questionnaire results are in, I get presented with a comprehensive report that shows my strengths as well as my areas for development. And depending on who you're talking to, you may feel it's appropriate to add, I'm hoping to be able to share the headlines of my report with you afterwards, if that's okay. I can then go away and build myself a robust and a very focused development plan with actions and timelines. Just think about this. A lot of times you're asked to complete a survey, you're asked to input into a survey, and that's the last you ever hear of it. You never see the outcome. So it's worth sharing the outcome with some of your raters. Consider that. Now, number 8, about the timings. Tell them the process is going to kick off in a few days' time. Tell them they'll get an email from the system inviting them to click on a link that will take them into the questionnaire. It's all very straightforward. The survey questionnaire interface is pretty intuitive. And tell them, although it's open for a couple of weeks, tell them you'd really appreciate it if they completed it as soon as possible. Remember to check with them how's their capacity over those weeks. And if they really haven't got capacity to do it in the time available, then be prepared to drop them from your rater nominations and choose someone else. But on the other hand, beware they're not just opting out because they can't be bothered. Challenge them if you feel that way. Number 9, ask for their commitment in whatever way feels right for you. My personal recommendation would be to say, are you up for helping me in this way? In other words, will you do it? And then the last step, and this is often left out, certainly from any of the emails that are used for sort of briefing, and that's to thank them. Number 10, and mean it. Be sincere, especially those whom have a lot of questionnaires to complete. That tends to be your manager. The higher up someone is, the more likely it is that they'll get. I'm talking about it in a cohort situation where there are a lot of people going through at once, like a leadership development program. Then it's a real gift that these people are giving you and thanking them. Like this tends to seal their commitment to you. And that's it. Now, our flagship brand is Click360, which is a next-gen digital platform for running 360-degree surveys. It's mobile responsive, it's got a funky modern questionnaire interface, and Click360 is the only tool with simultaneous rating. This saves time and increases accuracy. Our digital reports are integrated with interactive workbooks containing space for reflection, an action planner, and even learning suggestions. You can check out our QI and our digital report via videos on our website at www.click-360.com. And in addition to providing the Click360 platform, we can also offer help with questionnaire design, awareness briefings like this, and feedback coaching. Alternatively, we can train your own people how to do just that. Contact us at info@click-360.com for more information. Thanks.